So I had a couple of 2-hour trips to do, so the wheel actually ended up back in my car for a while. And that's okay, it's let the paint dry nice and hard. You can see here where the really bad scratches were. We're now talking really mild scratches. What we need to do now is wherever there's a scratch, and where that chip was down here, you can see there's just a little bit of a mark there as well. Wherever there's a scratch, we'll give it a bit of a sand again around here. You look really close, and there I've managed to bang it before the paint could dry, putting it in. That was pretty clever of me, but again, it's not a problem. We'll just give that a bit of a sand and continue to paint. I'm not going to put any more primer on. I'm going to go to colour now. You see here, you can still see some scratches. Some of you, hopefully you're doing this, are going to be starting only with it as bad as what that is there. We'll get it out and we'll give the whole thing a good sand over again. I'll key the whole thing all over like I did, and particularly sand these bits here, and get it nice and smooth, and then we'll put the first layer of colour on. Okay, so we've given this a good sand, so now it's time to have a look around this outside edge. How are we doing? And as you can see, it is looking really smooth. It's 113 degrees outside today, or over 40, so I am working in the shed. There's a mark there still. I'll give that a little bit more today because it's really hot. That is looking absolutely fantastic, and I've sanded it all over, given it that key all over again as we go between coats. Now if you do find that there's, like, because we put it on silly thick, as I said, if there's any dribbles, see there's a bit of a dribble left there, if there's any dribbles left, take them out now, because the primer is actually a softer and much easier paint to sand. The top coat is harder, so therefore if you get a dribble or something like that in the top coat, it's a bit more effort to rub it out. So you really want to use the primer stage here for everything that you can, so far as getting the marks and bits and pieces out. So I'll rub that out, and I will rub this out over here. And I want to do it pretty quick because it's nice, and it was reasonably cool in the garage at the moment, but you can't spray paint if it's too cold or too hot. Have a look on the back of your spray can or on your tin of paint to see what temperatures it's happy with. So I want to get the top coat on, the coat of silver, before it gets too hot, and then the paint will do its best of sticking. Okay, so I'm done with the rubbing down now, and I've dusted it off. Very important to get the dust out of here so that you can end up with a nice edge. I'll get a little knife and press that silly dollar store tape down again that all peeled up to get it out of the way. But you see, I've tried, if it's come through to the bare metal, I've tried to leave some there and make it very minimal, so the colour's still got its best chance of sticking. But we're ready to put some colour down. Now again, because you've got a bit of different colours coming through again, it's very hard to know what's smooth and what's not. You can feel it, and you certainly want all of it to feel smooth, not like that spray paint rough. And then we can put the colour down and go to the next step. Safety glasses, dust mask, and some paint. Again, shake up that paint. Trust me, it's worth it. Even if you don't feel like doing it, you'll get a better job if you shake the can adequately. Okay, so that painting craziness was what happens when the tin of paint runs out and there's hardly anything coming out. So rather than doing metered doses, you're just trying to get whatever you can out at the end of the tin. Now you don't want to do that at your very last final coat, but it's okay for your first coat. So it's just a very haphazard, rugged coat has gone down, but you'll see what happens when you start to put your top coat on. You'll start to see your imperfections. See here, are we going to see it? Yeah, you can see it in there. There's some imperfections and scratches. That's coming through from the underneath. Just in the white, in the primer, you can't see it, but in the top coat you can. So we just need to put a good layer of top coat down. It'll take most of those up, and anything it doesn't, we've got to let it dry, then give it a sand over that area, and then give it another coat. But that's why it was all crazy at the end of that little bit of film you just saw, because the tin ran out. Now, I'm in a shed because it's hot, as I said. I don't know if you noticed or not, but the cloud of spray was blowing away from me. I've got a fan over here, just a little one, but it's blowing a breeze through, and the garage door open a bit, just so that the fumes don't, stay in the shed here and gas me out. But it's just a little tip, but it makes it a whole lot more pleasant to paint. All right, so now I've got another proper full tin of paint, and you'll see it's very, very different. There's a whole lot more paint will come down and lay down. Okay, what sort of paint am I using? I mentioned it was from a hardware store. This is it, rust-oleum, and I found that to be way better. I did some other jobs using paint from a auto parts store, and it was just terrible. This has come really well. The big breakthrough on this, notice this bit here, any angle spray with comfort tip. The any angle spray is absolutely fantastic. Often with a spray can, particularly when they get down a bit, you've got to work really hard at keeping them vertical, so the tube that's in the middle is in the bottom of the paint. But these guys have like a fabric pad inside them, and what it means is the tip can be anywhere and it'll still get that last little bit of paint out, which is absolutely fantastic. It makes it a whole lot easier to paint when you don't have to focus on the can being totally upright, otherwise no paint comes out. So look for that one. It's a new technology, and it really makes it a whole lot easier. Like, I'd probably have to stand the wheel up and paint it if it didn't have this any angle spray technology. And with the wheel vertical, you're a lot more prone to drips on the big flat surfaces of the mag I'm working on. Okay, so here we go, looking like a mag wheel again. It's the right colour, it's silver metallic. Now, you would have seen there I focused on some places. One of the places I focused on was here. That's where I put the dint into the primer while I had this back in the car as a spare, and just some of the other edges. Now, this is not a tutorial so much about how to paint a mag wheel, because you would never put as much paint on as what I'm doing. This is a tutorial about how to get deep gutter marks and scratches out of a wheel. So I'm laying down way more paint. If you're watching this without the damage on your wheel, then you're just putting really, really light coats of paint down just to coat and cover it, and that'd be your best job. You would not put as much paint as what I've been doing here. But you have a look around this edge here, even with the light shining off it. This is going to need another sand. The top coat will always bring up some imperfections. You see that there? But another sand will fix that up, and there's that silly dent that I was working on. So I laid a heap of paint into that so that when I sand it, it'll disappear a lot. And the main thing is looking for this gutter rash around the edges, and it's gone. Not that someone's going to come up to your mag wheels and look with a magnifying glass like this, but you still, like my dad taught me, if you're going to do a job, you want to do it well, so you do what you can. But as you can see, that wheel is transformed as it is now. If we put a coat of clear over that and put it back on the car, no one would ever pick it or know it or think it was anything but factory. But I'm going to give that another layer of sanding all over to smooth it all out, get out whatever imperfections I can, and put down another layer of colour, and then we'll go for the clear over the top of that.